Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. All right. Get ready to start here, guys. Just want to welcome everybody to the show. Just kind of kick back and relax as we get into episode 130. Today, my guest is going to be David Rutland. Some of you guys know him as David Two Crows. So we're going to start the show off. We're going to start with what we always do. We're going to light a little sage. Just got the room ready. Get the environment prepared. Feels good. Oh my God, that smells so good. I really needed this, even though I light just about every other day. Wow. Powerful medicine. Awesome. Awesome. And we also, we light a candle to give thanks to our ancestors. Our ancestral candle. Dear ancestors, thank you for this opportunity to journey through this lifetime, to experience all the cool things that we get to experience and all the difficult things we get to experience and all the mysteries that we get to run into and get to explore with. So, dear ancestors, dear God, dear universe, dear whatever alignment you align with, thank you for this opportunity to be, to share, to experience, and to be part of that speck, that little powerful speck in the universe. But a powerful speck we are, and we are all important. We are all magical. We are all one. All my relations. And all my relations goes a long, long way when you know what I'm talking about. So we'll just wait for David to pop in here shortly. He's got the codes, he's got the words, so hopefully he can find his way. I'm gonna check my phone real quick, make sure he's not calling me saying, "Hey, what's going on, Iggy?" No messages, so we're either gonna be on by ourselves or we're gonna be on with David. Regardless, the show must go on. The show must continue. Hello, Sherry. Good to see you there. I hope things are nice in Florida. I hope the weather is good and nice and warm. I hope you're enjoying it down there. I hope you're recovering from your little amigo event that happened to you. Those little guys can be really mean and they can leave a nasty mark. So hopefully those of you who are chiming in right now, welcome to the show. Welcome to Iggy Garcia Live, the Naked Shaman. What is a Naked Shaman? It's about getting down to the bare and to the naked truth about what life's about. So sometimes, we have to get into those deep crevices about life and explore that and go, wow, that's pretty deep, wow, that's pretty intense. Either way, on this human journey, this vessel that we have created, this vessel that we have chosen to ride in is very unique. We could have picked any vessel. The cool thing about it is, we made these contracts to come to Earth. We made these contracts. For those of you who are not familiar with sacred contracts are the things that we do prior to arriving to this planet. We have been created from the beginning of time, and we were just been waiting our turn to manifest ourselves into this reality that we are. And in this reality, we can become anything, do anything, be anything we want if we truly magically believe that. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I hope that you're able to stick with us here for a good hour or so as we're waiting for David to pop in on the show. He's probably trying to figure out how to navigate Zoom. I'm not sure where he's at, but we'll find him. So I hope that you guys enjoyed your beautiful, what was it, 50 degrees today in Columbus, Ohio? That's pretty amazing if you ask me. I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited because even though I like snow, I'm not a big snow fan. I have a lot of friends who love snow, and I'm glad for them. I truly am glad for them. I'm glad for them that they enjoy the snow. So here we are. One of the biggest things that's been kind of on my mind here late, and most of you probably have run into this already, where people are talking about post COVID-19. Post. We're already in the post sessions of COVID-19. Um, According to who is what I'm asking. Who is saying that we are post COVID? Because right now it's still there. I know that we have had nice change of weather. We've had a nice change of pace in different directions that we're heading. Energetically, the world is shifting into another new positive way. Is it possible? Is it possible that we, as human beings, as humans, collectively created all these things? Why? Because remember, when I use the word all my relations, that means we're connected to all the things in the universe, all the things that are part of us, all the things that align with us. You know, to believe that we are separate from everything is kind of a strange thinking of things, because we're not separate from everything. We are connected to everything because everything affects us or we affect it. You know, no matter what you do, we breathe the same air. No matter what we do, we get rained on by the same drops. No matter what we do, when we step outside, we get the same sunshine coming through. It's coming from the sun. And when the moon shines, it's the same moon. And when we look up to the stars, depending on what part of the world you're at, you get a certain constellation of stars that, play into your favor. So that's where we're at, guys. That's what's going on. So hopefully we can get here. Let me see. Someone's chiming in here. Okay, so I hope you understand what all my relations means. It means that we are not separate from the entire universe. One time, a long time ago in the universe, before we were born, before we even thought of, there was the nothing, right? Absolutely zero. 0 point. And sometimes we can see that 0 point. Sometimes we can manifest it and create it. We can feel it. And sometimes we can't. And of course, my friend Sherry posted that she has 83 degrees today in Florida. So we're catching up. We're catching up. But the universe, sometimes we wonder when we talk about the universe, we talk about how it began and how it started. And sometimes we go, how did it all begin? Well, there's this thing called the Big Bang, the great explosion, the great implosion, whatever. So when we think about those things, there's a lot to think about. I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty massive to have a collision, of course. And so I've been watching documentaries, I've been studying, I've been researching and doing the things that people usually do when they're trying to find and get in alignment with these things. I watched on Gaia TV where they talked about how the beginning of the universe is only the size of a pea. A pea. Okay. A pea. Like the size of a green little pea. Just a little thing. And all that energy stored in that little pea. But I'm also thinking, so if there was a bang, were there two opposing forces that met? The yin, the yang, the feminine, the masculine. And where just kind of when they intersected, they've created this massive quantum explosion of energy that just scattered and still expanding through the universe, still moving through the universe, still happening, still working its way, outwardly. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I think about that a lot lately because one of my quotes is, the universe us being part of the universe and us being a speck in the universe, but a powerful speck we are because of the sheer fact that we're here, even though we're not insignificant. We have purpose. We have a reason why we exist. There's a reason why Iggy Garcia, my kids, my grandkids, and the people who are very important to me in my life exist, because we're supposed to. We manifested ourselves through this. A lot of people would say that God wanted to experience different things, that God was bored, that God wanted to, or the universe was needing some new exploration. And so we are the splinters of creation. So through us, all these tiny little splinters splint off, and they create and they manifest and they do all the things. And so you're going there, you're probably wondering, okay, cool. We do all this, we move through this, and here we are. Here we are, and what is our role in the universe? Well, does the universe have a pre-planned role? The only thing that I can say that's kind of pre-planned is probably our birth and our death. Those are things that will happen to us at some point or another. If we are born, then we will manifest outwardly into that existence, and then eventually, when we die, go back to the earth, we will actually go back into that space that is us. It's us, the same us, but we no longer cease to exist anymore. We are now part of the universe. And so I'm pretty stoked about that when I think about that, that that we don't end, that we don't die, that we don't stop existing. We create, we are recreated. And the best recreation of that story that I could tell you is the story of the butterfly. The story of the butterfly is pretty amazing, and it's pretty powerful medicine. So hold that thought real quick. I'm going to let David in here in a minute. Let David join me here for a second. He's upside down or sideways. Excuse me. But yeah, the story of the butterfly. The butterfly is, when it's in its infancy, when it's creating, it's changing, and it's becoming a completely different evolution of itself. So it becomes this amazing, beautiful butterfly, but it has to go through all this transformation. It had to go through all this amazing, reconstruction of itself, to the point where does the butterfly remember itself? Does it really matter if the butterfly remembers itself? Is it important if the butterfly remembers itself? So I'm going to see if I can get David on here real quick. See if I can get his audio on. See if I can get David on. David. Where'd you go, my friend? All right. All right, David, if you can hear me, you might have to unmute yourself, because it looks like you're unmuted and I just can't hear you. That's all. But let's see. Okay, so David's working on figuring out his locale. There you go.
Hello.
Oh, hold it. I can hear you.
I just can't see you yet.
Oh my goodness, where'd you go?
Oh, let's see. Boy, I was over in the Google side. I was waiting for you on the Google thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was so Google moved you over there. Well, welcome to the show, David.
Well, thank you. You can at least hear my voice.
Yes,
now.
We can hear your voice. Yes. So hopefully we can get you on there. You were on there a second ago. You were visually on the show. I could see you. I don't know what happened to you.
And then somehow, Zoom wanted me to dial in, and then when I dialed in, I kind of lost the video on it.
Oh, okay, no problem. Let's see.
Open.
Now it sounds like you're on the phone now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. There you are. I can see you now. Yes, all there right. He is. Modern technology has not failed us tonight. Thank goodness. Oh, and he pushed the wrong button. Oh. Oh, where'd you go? Where'd you go, my friend?
Audio. Let's try that.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good. Finally. Wow.
You disappeared for like 2 seconds.
I'm here. I'm gone.
Oop, he's gone. Well, welcome
Wow.
to the show. Welcome to the show, David. I'm glad that you are able to join us. For those of you who don't know David Rutland, I believe you're still Two Crows, correct? Or no?
So, you know, you can call me that.
Okay. Well, we grew up
Yes.
together knowing each other as Two Crows.
Yeah.
And David Rutland. So
Yes.
David is an author. He's a filmmaker. He's done a little bit of everything. He's explored the metaphysical realms. He has studied different types of religions, different types of belief systems. I think it was Jedi Knight once.
I'm a curious guy. That's all.
A very curious human being, like all humans should be, right? Humans should be
Yeah. Yeah.
curious.
Right.
So this is my friend David. For those of you who don't know David, David is one of my best friends, and we explore and we share and we do things together, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
And when we come back together, we pick up right where we left off. We intertwine. So
Mhm.
welcome to the show, David.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here, and I can't believe it's 130 shows already.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is the last time you were on here was my 100th show.
Yeah, I recall that. Yeah.
So 30
So
shows later, here we are.
shows later, I'm back again. Yeah, and probably changed a little bit since the last time we spoke, just
Yeah, you
because
look
that's
much younger.
Thank you. This lighting is bad. It makes me look bald, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Bald is fine.
So
I
David,
don't care.
tell us what you've been up to. A lot of people have been curious about you because you kind of fall in and fall out of Facebook and you disappear on social media.
Yeah.
You're a big part of our community, and a lot of people kind of look for your inspiration, and sometimes that inspiration leaves, it leads people to wonder and ponder what happened to David.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's we have such an interesting community that we're a part of, this metaphysical community, and it's always growing and changing, you know, and especially with the times that we've been living in, having to be separate so much and everything, it's kind of drawn a lot of us inward. So along those lines too, I've been doing some inward looking and exploring and questioning, um, and I would say that the last year or so has been really kind of different for me than the other times leading up to it, in
Mhm.
that I have challenged my beliefs more than I have in the years past. I've really wanted to strip them all down to the basics, and you know, I told somebody once that I sometimes I take my beliefs and I just push them off a cliff and see if they fly. You know, so so that's what I've been doing. I've been learning about how I perceive the world, how I form my worldview, and
Mhm.
my psychology, how that plays into it too. You know, and I think that as I've been doing that, I've been discovering about myself that it's pretty easy sometimes for us to get off track from where we want to be. If we want to believe true things, we want to keep our eyes open, we want to keep focused, we want to keep always evaluating the information, the truth of the information, and how we're ingesting it, and how we're processing it, and how we're living it out. So that's what I've been doing, is learning about how that takes place. I've been putting some things in front of myself that are kind of challenging what I used to believe and everything. So it's been very interesting, and I've come to some insights about myself. You know, I think the deepest thing and the best thing that I started to do a couple of years ago was meditate. And in that meditation, I started out the meditation. You know, it was a typical Buddhist meditation, and I started it out with chanting, and I had some
Mhm.
little things that I would set up and candles and stuff. And I finally said to myself, you know what? I just want to strip all that away, get down to what meditation is really all about. And for me, it was really all about observation, observing my mind and how it works, all the processes that are going on, and not judging it, not trying to change it, not trying to stop the thoughts, just letting them flow and seeing how that worked, you know, and just and what I discovered was, you know, the mind is a very wild thing, you know, when we just let it go on its own, you know, it often doesn't behave itself. It doesn't do what we want it to do. It does, it tells us what to do. And in part of that, I just realized that I can't really trust a lot of what my mind is telling me all the time. And even my perceptions and my memories and things like that, I have to, because what we know or think we know and believe is based upon a series of um, perceptions and how those perceptions are cataloged in our minds. And there's a lot of influencing factors that go into it. So uh, what I what I did was I just wanted to know, okay, so where do we start? How do I begin to sort through all of this and get to the bottom of what's real, what's factual, what's actual, and keep away from wandering off the path into, superstitions or wrong thoughts and beliefs that don't serve me, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm not judging anyone else because we all come to where we are and where we're going through our journey, our path. So, and my path, as you were describing earlier, has been very um, varied. It's gone through a lot of different places and practices and things like that. Um, so where I'm at now, and I just want to make sure that I include the recent thing that went on where I was into the H.P. Lovecraft stuff for a while.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. So what was interesting about that was, and I don't know if how many people are familiar with H.P. Lovecraft. He was an author in the early part of the 20th century, and he wrote in the genre that's come to be known as cosmic horror. So, but the cosmic horror part of it is many of the protagonists in his stories encountered something that was beyond their understanding, beyond their comprehension. And that was the horror part of it, was that it was just so out there that it just drove them crazy or made them commit suicide or something.
Hmm.
The premise of that is that there are gods and cosmically powerful beings, even multidimensional beings, but they don't either know or care about us at all. We're just insignificant. We're like an ant on the sidewalk. You wouldn't even think about. You're just involved in your own thing and you're walking along, you step on the ant. It's no big deal.
Kind
And
of
to
like us.
me, yeah. Well, and that what that did was it kind of took me out of the human-centered part of my thinking. A
Hmm.
lot of times with spirituality, we're believing that the universe is basically designed for us or created for us, or we're in communication with it, but maybe not. And so that was a challenging thought to me. That was a challenging concept to work through. And when you look at the universe, it's huge. It's unimaginably vast. And if we were important, or this universe was created for us,
Hmm.
there's a lot of wasted space out there. You got, so and so that was that part of that. And it kind of led me to where I am now, where I am just I've stripped down a lot of what my beliefs are to just taking it a day at a time, just studying again, just trying to find out where we really are in the universe. And the universe is a wonderful place. I've always known that ever since as a child. I can remember looking at the world and going, "This is fantastic. This is amazing. There's so
Hmm.
much depth and so much, just so much boundlessness to it." And I had to then wonder why other people weren't really noticing that. Some people
Hmm.
just like very focused on their lives and
Sure.
who they were and their jobs and their friends. And I guess the wonder, I'm sure that in some ways we all feel that as a child, the wonder of the world. But I didn't want to build a worldview based upon a false foundation of things that really were wrongly put in place by me. So that's what I've been doing, is kind of taking it back down to that and just looking at the world as it is now without any, need for any other levels or,
Hmm.
of that kind of thing. So, and it's still a beautiful place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
Actually,
where I'm at now. Yeah.
I was talking about that before you came on the air, just the university expansion and how big it is, and how
Mm.
science does. They don't really know, but their theory is that the beginning of the universe was the size of a pea. Who knows? And really, I don't. Does it really matter at this
Yeah.
point? I mean, they do know that the universe is still expanding. It's still growing. So that debunks a lot of things that they talk about what it is really.
Hmm.
Part of me also feels like we're in this big fishbowl, and from time to time, the little kids throw things in the fishbowl and causes problems, and sometimes they add new little fish to the fishbowl. That's where humans came from. Well, let's put these guys in here and see what happens. I think there was a Twilight Zone movie like that. If I recall, something similar like that. We were somebody's fish tank or fish bowl
or something, yeah, or somebody's amusement. But
But the thing is, we really don't know anything. We, we
no,
we think we know things, and we think that we're connected, and we think that something hears us. But here's something I learned the other day from a rapper, KRS1. He said, "I want you to read the name that I'm holding up." So he had this name. So we're just going to say David Rutland. I want you to see, everybody can see that David Rutland's name's right there. Okay. So I want you to say it in your mind, David Rutland. Now I know that you heard it. I know that it was there. So the question is, who actually said that? So I thought that was really fascinating because, we put so much stress and so much emphasis on speaking. And so where was that inner voice? Where do we really live? Where do we really reside? What is really the universe, And I found it
right.
really fascinating that when I just said your name, I could hear it loud and clear in my head, as if I'm saying David Rutland, and I heard it in my head going, and there's a voice there. And I found that really interesting that we're all part of something that we don't even know we're part of. We think we do. We have this illusion that we think that we're part of this something very, I don't know. I don't want to use the word magic, but we think we're part of this big thing. You said something earlier along the lines that it's kind of like, okay, the universe has a lot of empty space, but maybe there isn't a lot of empty space. Maybe there's a lot of things going on that we just aren't in tune to. We don't have that frequency that we can guide or find. And you know what? You could be right too. It could be as empty as the space between here and the camera.
Mhm.
No. But I find it fascinating that we ask questions, though. I like that we ask questions. I think it's important that humans ask questions. But after you ask questions, we're either satisfied with the answer or not.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's the rub.
It can lead to more questions and so on and so forth. And, that kind of brings up the scientific method, and I think that in the metaphysical community, science kind of gets a bad rap. But you have to understand that science isn't about certainty and it's not about knowing everything. We'll never know everything. Like you said earlier, it's science is investigating, and it always comes from the point of view of you're wrong, prove you're right.
Yeah.
And you prove you're right. You have experiments, you have data that you should have to analyze, and then someone else tries to prove you wrong, and so on until it comes to the point where, okay, so the person doing the experiment in South Africa gets the same results as the person doing the experiment in Oklahoma, and so then we can say, okay, so this seems to be real, but so we'll put it on the shelf over here and we'll move on to whatever questions that causes. But somebody can always circle back around and go, you know what, your findings were wrong, so let's revise that. And I think that people who value certainty and want to know the answers, that's not satisfying for them because it's always changing. We can get a pretty accurate view of reality as we think we know it, like this table is solid and we know gravity has a certain force, and things fall at a certain speed, and there's chemical elements that make up everything. But science is always expanding, trying to push the boundaries of that, and move further into our areas that are unknown and so on. So it's a never-ending search, and it's a tool in our toolbox. And I think science has taken us from ignorance in the dark ages into a world where we now have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge, but at the same time we can have a lot of misinformation if we don't understand our own psychology and how we process that information and how we react to new information that comes in. So that was about the how we come to believe things, and how we beliefs usually start with, I think, with an experience of some kind, and then we try to find information that confirms that. Let's say we had a deep spiritual experience of some kind, whether in a religion or outside of a religion, then we want to find things that kind of verify that, confirm, oh, you had one of those too, or
Sure.
this seems to work for that. And you can call it cherry picking, or you can call it confirmation bias, but it seems to be how a lot of us form our belief system, and we go on from there. And if your belief system helps you cope with life, that's great. That's fine. I mean, there's no
Hmm.
harm. But when belief systems become dogmatic and they become fundamentalist and they become exclusive to any other kind of belief system, that's when they become dangerous. And we've
Yeah.
seen some examples of that
Yes.
in our history and in our present day of people who want their or believe that their worldview is the only worldview or the right worldview.
And that's at all
These,
levels. And that's at all levels, at the high level to the lowest level, the fundamental view of what life is for that person.
mhm, exactly. So, um, you know, I've got some notes here. I'm just going to look through them.
Yeah. No problem.
um,
Before you
you
hit
know
your
what?
notes, I wanted to ask you a question about
Oh,
the Mars rovers.
okay.
Because I find it very interesting. That's a very interesting thing for me because number one, I always wanted to be an astronaut, and that was one of my goals as a kid. But it never happened. Obviously, I'm a different type of astronaut now.
Yeah.
So, but uh, but I find it fascinating because it's like we're exploring Mars. The desert of Mars, and of course, I'm sure they checked all the area and they haven't seen anything there. But I can't help to believe that we're like landed on the desert of Mars, and it's kind of like landing in the Sahara Desert, and that's all we see. And we're just going round and round with these little machines. And like, oh, look at this, we got more sand, more sand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know that they probably explored, but it's just kind of funny too. It just kind of makes me laugh a little bit too, going maybe they did sink it into a crater just to see a lake bed to see what they could
Mhm.
find, but it's just like I feel like it's a really bad joke somewhere in there. I don't know why.
Yeah. The mind of Iggy.
The mind of Iggy.
No, that's good though. It's always good to be open to the possibilities, that we don't even think about. But you know, Mars is interesting because we know that it once had water and it had an atmosphere.
Right.
Probably had a spinning iron core, which is important if you want to have a magnetic field that will deflect cosmic rays and allow life to develop. So
Mm-hmm.
just because of the composition of the planet, that stopped a while ago, so it doesn't have a shield against cosmic rays, and so that's probably not helpful for life. But life
Yeah.
could have evolved there, and that's what that mission is about finding fossils and
Yeah.
exploring ancient life. And we could have somehow transferred life from that planet to our planet. You
It's
know,
possible, right? Anything's possible, right? We don't know the stories, right? Man
yeah.
is on a quest to find its origins.
Hmm.
And now the only thing there is fossilized, magnetized fossilization, on that
Yeah,
planet.
and we could be headed for that someday ourselves. So it's good to learn lessons from the past and what we can see. So
Solar flares.
solar flares, yeah.
That's what they say knocked out the magnetic systems of the Mars.
Hmm.
Who knows? Who knows?
It could be. The universe is such a awesome place. It's can be frightening at times. I mean, there's things that can happen, we wouldn't even know it, but it could wipe out all life on Earth, like a gamma ray burst or
Oh
something from
yeah.
a distant
Mm-hmm.
star. There's no way to stop that. So I think what the bottom line is
Mm-hmm.
that we really need to just appreciate life as we know it right now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not project into the future or regret about the past, but just understand the flow of life in the moment. And that's
Yeah.
what I've been feeling more and more. As
Good.
I've been taking away a lot of these beliefs that no longer serve me, and
Mm-hmm.
out, points of view that are kind of left behind. So, and
Yeah.
I'm much more relaxed. I'm much more in the
Good.
moment. It's a good thing. Yeah,
So
yeah,
what
it's a
if they
good thing.
call you tomorrow? NASA calls you tomorrow, David. We want you to get on the next flight to Mars with Iggy and a couple other people. Would you go?
I would want to go, but at the same time, I probably would find out that I get dizzy or sick or something. I don't like to roller coasters. How can I go up in a space shuttle? But
That's a ticket. No, one-way ticket.
yeah, but hey, John Glenn did it, so he was
We
older
we
than me.
we die on Mars.
No,
All
I would
right.
love that. I would
Yeah,
love to visit the space station, the International Space Station, and all that. If it
that'd
was
be
at all
cool.
possible, I
Yeah.
would go. Wow,
All right, take us
what
to
an
your notes, man. Take us to your notes. See what's on
you
your
know,
mind. What's on David's mind?
mine's David.
For those of you guys who don't know who's on the show tonight, this is David Rutland, very good friend of mine, and he's sharing his thoughts and his feelings and his emotions and his notes.
Well, here's one note I took. It said, knowledge of our own mortality and fear of non-existence have, in my view, caused us to superimpose an eternal life beyond the death of the physical body. So we are one of the only species, probably the only one we know of, that is aware of our own mortality. We know we're going to die one day,
Yeah.
and we have our psychology creates an ego that that's a frightening thought for us. So we want a continuance of existence. We need that. So we build that into our religions and our philosophies and our way of looking. We have either reincarnation or an eternal life in heaven, or maybe hell if you're not that great person.
I don't believe in
But
hell.
so those are the kind of things that may or may not be true. But we understanding our psychology and how we've evolved helps us to put that to the test, or the question of is that real? Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
And does it really even matter? If I close my eyes and I don't exist anymore, is that any different from going under anesthetic for an operation and just not, there's nothing?
You don't know.
Yeah. So why should I be afraid of something I can't prove right now, or be afraid of, not existing when I wasn't afraid of existing before I came into this world?
Yeah.
So, and those are the kind of questions that we either ask, or we accept the answers that we're given for, or we don't even think about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of I would say, a unique human thing, and we like to think we're special, and human beings do have a special place on this planet because of what we can do. We don't have thick fur or claws, or but we do have our intelligence and our social structures,
Mm-hmm.
and things that we've used to build our niche in nature, in this natural world.
Right.
And so, because we have created sort of an artificial environment, we need to be responsible for maintaining that relationship with our environment and nature. Because as soon as nature pops up something like a virus, for instance, we find a way to counter it, and then nature will turn around and give us a variant of that virus or
Mm-hmm.
something new, and we turn around and we cope with that. So it's a push and pull, and it does help to sharpen us in a way, to keep us, in the game, so to speak. But we also need to listen a little more to the messages that we're being told from nature. Since we're not living by our instincts so much as we're living by our intellect anymore,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we need to understand that we are just a part of it and not the top. We're not superior to anything. We have a special place, but we also have responsibilities within that place to think and act correctly in regards to each other, and the world that we live in and leave behind for everyone else and all the other beings on this planet. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if I stayed on topic with that or
No,
not.
no, no. My goldfish, for example, I think they worry about their existence and what happens
Hmm.
to them, because if I don't feed them, they starve.
Hmm.
Because every morning when I wake up, they're looking at me on the corner of the fishbowl going. I mean, they're like right there. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
it's like 7 o'clock, Iggy. Come on, man. Come on, God. Come on, man, God. Feed us. This is the funniest thing. And I feel bad for them, And I feel really bad for them. It's like their whole life is dependent on my attitude or how I function that day. Like
Right.
if I'm not there, or I didn't trust somebody else to do it and they don't do it, they don't eat.
Hmm.
And I feel really bad for them. I'm thinking to myself, so what should I do with these little goldfish? And they got pretty big. You see my goldfish.
Yeah.
One's almost the size of this microphone. That's how big it got. And I bought it
And
when it
there's
was just
They're still hanging in there. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel for animals too. I feel for things in nature that are kind of boxed in and encapsulated and put into a certain place. And
Mhm.
then I look at my life and I go, I'm no different than the goldfish, to some degree.
You got your barriers, your boundaries, and you've got,
Yeah. Except I have what you said earlier is the thought, able to think, the free will to move and navigate and fend for myself. My little fit goldfish or my dog or my cat, they can't really fend for themselves. They
right. They're
really
not in,
relying on us.
yeah, they're not in their natural environment.
Right.
We've taken responsibility for them. So, yeah, uh, that's, that's true. It's something to really, to really be aware of.
Yeah, they're our friends too. They're our companions.
Mhm.
I think my fish
That's,
wake me up in the morning.
I know my dog wakes me up in the morning.
They use telepathy. When they can't get a hold of me, they use the dog.
But I can communicate with my dogs by just looking in their eyes and
Oh
just
yeah.
they communicate so much non-verbally because they
Yes.
don't have the words that we do, the language that we do, but they're very aware of our body movements, our schedules,
Mm-hmm.
our routines, and they're always watching us. So
Yes.
they're very tuned into us. So that's
Yeah.
and they should be.
What else is on your list? I like your
Oh,
list.
I don't know. Pick something I haven't something I haven't discussed yet. Let's see. So we're talking. Let's go back to beliefs a little bit,
Okay.
and where they come from, and how we can start to kind of examine them a little more. Um, you know, there's several ways we form our beliefs, and part of it is, what country or what culture did you grow up in? Somebody
Right.
from India, if you're going to guess what their religion was, you probably say Hindu. Somebody in America, if they were a religious person, you probably say, oh, they're probably Christian.
Sure.
But if and we want to, and also being part of a community is important too. If that belief system involves being part of a community or social group, there's also pressure and wanting to conform to that social group. So if you take a step out of that, or you try to question that, or even if you change your belief system entirely, it you kind of have to keep it undercover sometimes. You kind of have to be in the closet, so to speak, with it, and come out. If you're going to come out as a Christian in a Hindu family, or a Buddhist in a Christian family, fundamental Christian family,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make sure that it's not going to break the relationships that you have, or you just have to be self-confident enough to go, I'm just this way, and I can't pretend anymore that I'm different, or
Yeah.
that I'm different from what I believe. I can't live that anymore. And there's a lot of people, I think, that go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Non-religious is one of the largest growing segments of the population now.
Mm-hmm.
People who have a religious um, preference or identity, and so we're almost at kind of a cusp in our society where there's a pushback to that, to the fundamentalism, or these beliefs of that this is the way it's always been, this is the way it has to be. You can see a tug of war going on,
Sure.
because then you have the fundamentalists pushing back, and we don't want things to change. We don't want all this new information to be taught in schools, or we want to make sure that our religious beliefs are either at the forefront, or at least protected from being
Mm-hmm.
pushed aside, or as this new information from science comes in. And we have people who believe the Earth is 6,000 years old, and they really do believe it because that's what the Bible tells them to in their mind.
Sure.
And how do you approach that, or challenge that? There's people who believe in Noah's flood,
Mm-hmm.
4,000 years ago. It's almost like, and flat earthers, there's almost
Yeah.
like people. grasp onto those as anchors against all of this things that they feel might threaten to sweep away, uh, or else they don't trust that science and the established order is giving them the right information. So I don't know. It seems like it's a pushback almost to, I don't want to say dark ages, but to a kind of a hiding in the old ways of thinking as opposed to new ways. What do you think? I don't know.
Well, when you think about it, let's just go to flat Earth just for a good example. You know, if you go back in history and you study that, why would people think the Earth is flat? Because every time you look outward, it looks flat. And as the
Yeah.
ships would sail, you know, they were afraid that they were gonna man didn't travel any further because they thought they were gonna fall off the edge of the Earth.
Hmm.
The water ran off and fell over. And eventually somebody went a little bit further, and they didn't fall. And for some people, you know, they believe it's true, and you can't change that. Even if you showed them pictures of this thing,
Right.
it's kind of
They,
like the reality is you create the reality that serves you versus the reality that's really there. And the Earth isn't round anyhow. It's kind of like a oblong, kind of
yeah. An
goofy
ellipsoid,
looking.
let's
Yeah, it's
call it.
this very disoriented shape. But
Right.
I find it very powerful, very interesting that that people believe in flat Earth. And on Earth, they always put the flat Earth picture on my timeline just for the hell of it, just to be funny.
Right. In. Yeah.
But that was a belief system, and we have belief systems today that may change as well. What they are, I don't know, because I don't know what's being challenged today in the sense of like a flat Earth challenge, but maybe Mars is an example. Maybe looking for life on Mars, and the whole time the Martians are like, ha, 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 we've
We're
been here the whole.
invisible.
Yeah, we're invisible people, but it's the same thing. The moon, for example. People talked about the moon not being real. It was something that was dragged in here, and it was used to help. That's what. There's a lot of things we don't know about a lot of things and how things came to be. And there's a lot of things we do know and how they came to be, but we weren't there to experience it. So for flat earthers, there's a reason for it. They have their proof, we have our proof that it's the earth is oblong, round, whatever you want to call it. But they're just not going to change. It's like you talked about belief system. Belief systems, people have, they're solid in their foundations of what they believe, and sometimes it's ingrained in them at a very young age, unless they have their own critical thinking to move outside of that box and see it differently. And
Exactly.
sometimes there's one or two that escape from those into that critical thinking, and they see what they need to see. And for me, life is very beautiful, very amazing, and I do believe that we do come back, but we don't come back as Iggy or David. This is part of my belief, because I don't think energy is ever destroyed. It just gets
Right.
reconstituted and remanifested. But there's only one incarnation of this person, of this me, and you. Yeah, you may come back as a woman, a man, or a twin, or a Siamese twin. Who knows? But you come back and then you create new adventures. You create. This is where I think. This is my thinking. But as the incarnation of Iggy Garcia, there's only one. And maybe
Mhm.
one day when I'm come back 500 years, 200 years, or 50 years, or 5 years, I might stumble upon myself on YouTube and go, that guy looks familiar. So does that guy. Mom, why
Yeah.
does those two old guys look familiar to me? You know? But
Deja
this
vu. Yeah.
because if you think about it, technically, if you were reincarnated, you should be able to find your lineage of yourself if you have the
Right.
right tools, right? You should be able to track yourself down, because we have the technology to find ourselves in the genetics, and how ancestry and 23andMe can find the links, the cousins, the connections. I am a firm believer that we can find ourselves from the past to the future. We'd be able to link ourselves. I really believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as you said, as technology gets more advanced and these records start to be more permanent,
Hmm.
we find that to be true. And that's the thing, is to be open to new information, but also cautious about swallowing it too much without having some confirmation and some investigation,
Sure.
look things. For instance, on Facebook recently there was an article that somebody posted about researchers suggest that aliens might exist in multiple dimensions. Well, that's a pretty ambiguous title anyway, but I was reading through that, and really what had happened was researchers had created a computer program and they had put in a variant of dark matter
Oh,
into
okay.
to various models of different universes, and they found
Sure.
it doesn't matter really how much dark matter we put in there, life it would still be possible. It doesn't
Yeah.
change components, and that's really all it was. But that title sounds really intriguing. Like, okay, so we mentioned multiple universes and aliens, and gets people all kind of excited,
Yeah.
and but really, when you look at it, it really wasn't that exciting. It just was a computer program that suggested, okay, multiple universes, and like be able to support more dark matter, but people like the idea of that. It kind of fulfills their scratches their itch, if you will, about something mysteriously sounding and kind of scientifically
Hmm.
oriented and everything. But you know, I don't want to be a spoil sport and tell you
No,
there's
no,
no
no. You're not.
Santa Claus or anything, but hey,
But,
maybe there is a Santa Claus.
but in here, yeah, the
Mhm.
guy who likes Christmas, that's you. But in here, you're right. In here, we can create and manifest just about anything. We can make things into the most beautiful reality or the most destructive thing too.
Mhm.
So it's like that Star Trek episode where the brains, they evolved into brains. Remember that? They
Right.
got to they
Yeah.
got to the point where they didn't have a body. They didn't even need a body anymore. They were just these brains, and they can like create all these holographic events and stuff, and make I thought that was really cool because that plays out in a lot of stories. Like Doctor Who also has a version of that. And they also have a
Mhm.
version of the skin that's alive. It's the last human, whatever. Remember, you
Oh,
know what I'm talking
oh yeah.
about.
I
But,
heard that.
but the one thing that I do know, and I'm pretty sure of this, is that one day the generations of Rutlands or Garcias or however the lineage breaks down, one of our future ancestors, future kin, will be sitting there on the beach, holding hands and watching the sun go supernova.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
happen.
Mhm.
There will be some humans just that will be the last thing that they will see ever, and
Wow.
then they'll become a new incarnation. They'll become part of the universe. But see, we will also, because we're part of the earth, we're part of the buried or ashes scattered. That means we'll be reincarnated and reconstituted into something different again,
Mhm.
if it
Yeah.
hasn't
Life
already happened.
life goes on. We're made of star stuff,
Oh
really.
yeah,
The
yeah,
elements in our body were created in supernovas billions of years ago. We're,
yeah,
we're looking star stuff that's actually looking up and around and going, hey, what's this all about?
yeah,
That
yeah.
is amazing. I don't need to add anything supernatural beyond that,
Oh yeah,
satisfied and amazed at the universe that just keeps growing, and it's an amazing journey we're on. Think of the change we've seen in our lifetime, Iggy.
yeah,
How the world has changed. Our parents saw great change. We've seen even greater change. Our
yeah,
children are going to see an amazing amount of change. But what we're also going to struggle with too, all along the way, is our own limiting human nature. The things about us that take us off track, that turn us back on each other, that
yeah.
those limiting beliefs that we carry forward
Right.
in some of our belief systems and everything. So the more we understand the way our minds work, the way we think, the way we feel, how our subconscious and consciousness interact, the better it is for us, because so much of who we are and what we are is driven by that mechanism
Hmm.
that is in our minds, and so the more we can interact with that and make it into a creative process rather than a self-destructive process, we're going to flourish. That's what human flourishing is all about, is growing forward.
Yeah,
So,
I believe that.
and I do have hope for that. I really do. We're still going to have struggles. We're still going to have problems. We're still going to have conflicts.
Hmm.
But we, as we become more aware of our place on this planet,
Hmm.
and our true place in the universe, and what that really means, and are willing to open up to possibilities rather than limitations. I have hope that we're gonna come through this. We're like a great experiment. There's never been anything like us before, and there never will be again.
No, you're
So,
right. In a
yeah.
1,000 years, 500 years, who knows? We might not even exist anymore.
Hmm.
We don't.
Maybe.
And
Yeah.
you're right. We have to appreciate what's in front of us right now. And so many of us worry about things that happened in the past, which rightfully so. They're traumas. I get that. But
Mhm.
there's so much that we can do now versus trying to do it later. Wow, do it later. No,
Yeah.
live now. Live today because today is all you got, really.
You got it. That's right. That's right. It's all.
Shit, you might walk out the street and get hit by a car,
Hmm.
and that's it.
Hmm.
That's
And
it.
there's so much going on in the now too. I mean, this is where life is happening. I mean, if you're open and aware to it, you will never be bored.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I had an old teacher tell me, he says, if you're bored, you're boring. So I bought into that. I said, I can't ever use that word, I'm bored, because that means I have to create something to get me out of the boredom, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and we're great creators, and we have great imaginations, and it's a lot of fun to be engaged with life like that, and not be afraid, you know,
Yeah.
of anything, just
Right.
let it all go, let it all go.
Good, good.
Well, yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Is just why
Nice.
do we think what we think, and how do we arrive at the conclusions that we arrive at, and how do we move new information into our worldview in a way that is we're not going to push back on, because when you start talking to some people about information that conflicts with what they believe, immediately the walls can go up. They're going to say, nope, I don't accept that. Your mind is programmed to accept things that reinforce our belief systems. So
Sure.
you
Absolutely.
have to be kind of careful whenever you go into that kind of a situation. You don't want to approach it in a confrontational way. You want to listen to the other person, hear what they have to say, mirror back some of the responses that they have, and oh, okay, I understand that. What's that like? And how do you feel that way?
Yeah.
And then over the course of time, maybe you can begin to suggest to them that, what if I was to ask you, was there anything I could tell you that might change your mind, or that you
Hmm.
would wonder about, or how would so that's kind of called street epistemology, and people do that now, out on the street with people. It's kind of like Socrates, the Socratic method of inquiry and investigation into the nature of life. So it helps to expose people's their prejudices, their
Sure.
their pre-programming for why they think what they think, and it can be very liberating to examine that, and to open up to why you believe what you believe. You just believe what you believe because it feels good, or you were told that as a kid, or
Hmm.
you had experience once that kind of made you think that. But or do are you open to maybe seeing how that could happen a different way, or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's questioning ourselves, and I think that is the beginning of wisdom.
Ding, right? Bill and Ted's Great Adventure. We are wild stallions. There's Socrates over here. No, but you know what's funny though? I do believe that we don't see enough people talking about philosophy or talking about, sitting there and talking about the world and
Hmm.
being open minded about it, not closed minded. I don't see it. You and I used to do that a lot, even though you
Yeah.
you and I agree or disagree. I mean, but we always came to a place where we understood that it wasn't necessarily about us agreeing; it was more about us interacting these
Right.
ideas of
And
possibilities.
ears, yeah, just hearing the other person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's where the beauty is. Because if you were to shut me down or shut you down, what did we accomplish? Well, nothing. Because when we are able to share the fine night ideas that roll in our head and they come together and they manifest and they turn and twist, then we can start to unlock things that we probably didn't see before because we didn't see that angle because you're experiencing one way and I'm experiencing one way. But for us to be closed off is just very difficult to have to be a modern day Socrates or an Albert Einstein. They had to have an open mind. They had to use imagination.
Right.
And so
Right.
you have like, for example, now we're in this COVID situation where everybody's freaking out about everything. You can't, the dialogue is not there to have this talk about why people feel this way. They just, it's a very cancel culture. It's a very shut me off. I don't want to talk about it. You're stupid because you don't listen. You're going to kill my family. I'm going to kill your family because you don't wear a mask, for example. Okay.
Right.
And I'm not saying the masks are good or bad because, you know, it's everybody comes from a different point of view. But
Mm.
to have a conversation and to explain and to intertwine ideas
Yeah. Listen to
is,
both sides of it.
yeah.
Right.
I'm talking about everything. I'm not talking about just the mask or the virus. I'm talking about everything in life. Period. You know,
Hmm.
they may be there, or maybe I just don't see it. But I don't really see it when I look out. When I look out into the world that I've helped create. You know, I see it from time to time. You and I do it, so I see it there. But I don't see it in our youth. I don't see them talking. They maybe they do it in a different way that maybe I'm just not aware of. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. 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 But there's a lot of seems like there's a lot of people in certain camps, and that's where they like to be. You know, they like to be surrounded by people who think like them, who
Yeah.
are believe like them, and then that is very easy for us to say, to point at other people and go, those people over
Yeah.
there are the problem, or those people are need to be re-educated or eliminated or whatever.
Yeah.
It's easy to other people, you know, to say that
That's
they're other than
very
you.
sad
Yeah, yeah, it
because
is.
you become other people to them too.
Hmm.
You know, even though you think they're the other people are going, they're the other people. So
Yeah.
nobody wins. Nobody really wins. Everybody just stays in their factions.
Hmm. Right, right.
They stay
And
in their factions. And then we have the Hunger Games, and then we lash it out.
yeah, yeah, it's not a good situation, but at the same time, it's probably a necessary one because I think what we're seeing is a lot of things that were hidden for a long time. And
Sure,
now
absolutely.
things have been brought to the surface through a lot of the pressures, political, the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
just, you know, the world changing around us, you know, and so it's stirred up the pot and it's allowed some of these things to come up to the surface, and how we
Yes.
deal with them is going to determine the next century of our history. You know, if we deal with them in a positive way and we learn from our mistakes, then there's progress. If not, then we're just going to keep either the same or plunge
Mm-hmm.
into some kind of a neo dark ages or whatever you want to call it, you know. And that's, unfortunately, that's kind of our track record, is rising and falling, rising and falling. We have to
Mm-hmm.
get over the hump and find a way to push past, as I was saying earlier, those self-limiting beliefs and tendencies of ours, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to make other people the enemy,
Yeah.
when actually we're really just one species on one planet trying to
Yeah.
forge a future together that is going to
Yeah.
affect all of us. You know, we can't be isolated into countries, nations, factions, religious groups any more than we can. You know, you can section off pieces of the Titanic and say that part's not going to sink.
Right. Exactly.
The whole thing is going to go down together. So,
That's true.
you know, we just need to
Awesome.
keep on listening to one another and learning, and trying to make this world a better place. So,
Okay. So we got
yeah.
about 2 minutes. I'll give you about a minute to just have a closing thoughts with our guests. Something you want to leave with everybody, because
Okay.
a lot of your fans are listening, and they haven't heard from you in a while. So yeah, you have like two fans. No, just joking. No, go ahead, but
Hey,
share with us, David. It's better to have two fans than no fans. Okay.
that's true. That's true. No, I love and appreciate all of the people listening, who are not listening, who will listen to this later, who don't even listen to it at all. I appreciate the people in my life who've given me um, their attention, which is precious, who've given me their thoughts, who've given me their feelings, you know, and who share with me. Um, Sometimes I'm not always available, but I'm always aware, you know, of of that love that's given to me, and I want to know that them to know that it's returned. I'm just a small part of something very special and something very important, and that's all of you. You know. Other than that, I just want to say to remember that the sun is shining on you, whether the clouds are there or not. The world is turning, and new things are coming your way and coming to all of us if
Hmm.
we're open to receiving them and incorporating them into our lives and our worldview. We can grow and we can make this world a better place for everyone.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend David Two Crows, as I know him, David Rutland, and that's his birth name. And we love him. He's just another human being sharing and wiggling around the world, just advanced bacteria moving through the universe.
Of atoms and molecules.
That's right. So David, thank you very much for coming on the air with me and sharing, and I hope to see you soon. I hope we can connect and have coffee and hang out. It's always
And
a
drop.
pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Always a pleasure to touch base with you. For those of you who don't know, David and I did shows together for many, many years, and we had fun. And he,
Our story is quite involved.
oh yeah, 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 it's my
But some
buddy.
great, yeah.
But I'm very appreciative of you, my friend. So namaste. Have a nice day. What is above
You.
is below. Ho'oponopono matakuyasin. It's good to be here. It's all love. It's all bullshit. All right, David. Thank you
All
very
right. Well,
much. All right,
see
man.
ya.
Take care. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. David is a really, really, really I don't know what you would call him, man of mystery, a man who explores his environment, a man who goes out there and just tries to see the world from different angles and different vantage points and different points of view, because that's how David is, and that's how I met him. That's why we connect, and that's why we're friends. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the interview with him. And if you want to connect with David, he's on Facebook. Just look up David Rutland. You can find him there. He's posts things, and he puts some really cool stuff to read. And so with that, I want to say have a great evening, have a good night. I want to say matakuyasin, ho'oponopono. What is above is below. Irisikwi. It's good to be here. Aho, and everything that you align with in the universe. Have a great, powerful, magical rest of your week. And we will see each other next time on Iggy Garcia Live, the Naked Shaman on withinsightsradio.com.